So yesterday we discussed the whole issue of Jews coming from the Soviet Union, and now moving on to the topic of Jews coming from Ethiopia, which is a major issue in Israel in the last 50, 60 years. So the thing with the Ethiopians is that there's many similarities to us as Jews, but the problem is they didn't seem to have a Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral Torah, Talmud, Mishnah, and there's so little documentation in Africa to go upon, to rely and to say, to verify. There, just incidentally, there was someone in the Times of the Gaonim, so it's about over 1,000 years ago, called Eldad Hadani. He's mentioned by Saadia Gaon. And he describes tribes of Jews in Ethiopia. Maybe they're the same, maybe they're not the same, but fine. But the first starting point on all of this properly halachically is really the Radbaz. The Radbaz is Rabbi David ben Zimra, 500 years ago from Egypt. And in two different teshuvot, he talks about Yehudim Hadarim be'eretz Kush, the Jews living in the Kush, which is Ethiopia. And he himself writes that they're similar to the Tzaddukim, to the Sadducees, but nonetheless, because they don't have the oral Torah, but nonetheless says they're definitely Jewish. And he makes an assertion that they're from Shevet Dan, from the tribe of Dan. Interesting, because nowadays Jews are from Yehuda and Binyamin, but he asserts that they are from the tribe of Dan. The question there was about captivity, releasing someone from captivity, and so he says, yeah, they're definitely Jewish, and they're from the tribe of Dan. However, in one of his teshuvot, he raises the issue of there's a concern of mamzerut, of the child being born from a forbidden relationship. And what do I mean by that? He says the get which they do, the divorce bills which they do, is certainly not halachically correct. It's not done according to Hazal. But their kiddushin, the kiddushin which they work, is quite straightforward. It's easier to do kiddushin than it is to do gittin. And their kiddushin is likely to be kiddushin, but their gittin is likely not to be a get. And so you have, and which if that's the case, that means that all of them are getting married, and half of them getting divorced, and they're marrying each other after what they think is a divorce. That's creating loads and loads of mamzerim, of people born from a relationship in which a woman's not halachically divorced, creates a mamzer. So he raises that. He does raise that issue. But that was really it. It wasn't really much discussed until, of course, in the 20th century with the state of Israel and people coming to Israel. And you have these two major questions. Firstly, are they Jewish? And secondly, if they are Jewish, maybe they're mamzerim. So the chief rabbi at the time of Herzog's view was that one can't rely on the Radbaz. How did he know? Circumstances were different. Research has shown it wasn't the same people. They weren't really Jewish, etc. It's not clear to rely on the Radbaz, and therefore the position in the early 50s, 60s, and 70s was that people who come from Ethiopia and want to assert themselves as Jews, they need to do a Giyur Lehumra. Giyur Lehumra means that they're probably Jewish, but we're going to convert them as a stringency. It didn't entail the whole long conversion process which we do nowadays, because this is just a conversion as a kind of stringency to make sure. And that would entail just Kabbalat mitzvot, acceptance of mitzvot, and dipping in the mikveh. And for men, they have Brit Milah, they have circumcision, because they practiced circumcision. But when someone comes to convert and has already had circumcision, we do what we call hatafat dam brit, like a prick of blood to extract a drop of blood. So that was the position that we do Giyur Lehumra. Interestingly, one of the other poskim at the time of Israeli wrote, no, it's no Giyur Lehumra. He said, a very funny term, Giyur Lekula. What do I mean by Giyur as a leniency? Because a non-Jew can't create mamzerim, meaning if non-Jews are unfaithful in marriage and a baby's born from a woman who has an adulterous affair and is married to a non-Jew, even if it's a Jewish woman, if she's married to whoever it is, if they're married to a non-Jew, that child doesn't become a mamzer, because mamzer is only something which happens amongst Jews. And therefore, if we convert them, then what we're saying is that really they weren't Jewish. If they weren't Jewish, then we don't have to worry about the fact they were mamzerim. And so he called it Giyur Lekula. he was insistent on this, and like this, you get around the problem of of the potential mamzerut. So this was the original view, and this was the view of the most of the poskim, Moshe Feinstein as well. And as I said, this was the view accepted by the Rabbanot in early times. However, things changed due to a number of factors, which we will discuss next time, Bezrat Hashem.